One of the biggest issues in the country is the immigration and the border issue, but it's not bigger anywhere than it is here in Arizona. Yavapai Sheriff David Rhodes is joining us. Sheriff, thanks for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Mike.
The Sheriff's Association and Prop 314, the good and the bad of this. Can you explain your stance on 314? Is it the right thing to do? Do we need funding for this so that the sheriffs that are affected by this have the money they need for enforcement? How's this going to work?
Sure. Well, look, I mean, Prop 314 was put before the voters and passed overwhelmingly. This is a mandate from the voters. They're expecting something to happen. And the Arizona Sheriff's Association are responding to that, asking for an increase to a fund that's already exists. It's a local border security grant, and it's an appropriation that we've had for many years. The last 2 years, it was $17 million. This last year, $17 million was appropriated, $25 million was requested. We're asking to double the number of requests, or the amount of the request, so that we can start to prepare for whatever it is that's going to happen. Prop 314 still, as you know, Mike, has to survive some legal challenges. Yep. There are some different things that are going on. But I think it's important for for everybody to understand that you don't just turn on a water spigot and have law enforcement. You know, these things take time. It starts with money. You have to have the money first before you can start to buy the equipment, have the infrastructure, hire the people, get the training done. And from the moment you approve that money and it actually starts to come, you know, you're looking at anywhere from 12 to 24 months to see any measurable success. Now, if you wait for things to happen, like to, you know, snail pace through the court system to have a decision made, and then you try to do this, well, heck, you're years out. People are frustrated with this topic. Mm-hmm. The insecure border, they want to see action. They gave local law enforcement the authority to do some things. They expect us to do it. That's what we're trying to do.
I don't think most people understand the enormity of the pressure it puts on agencies, sheriff's departments, especially down on the border, but all across the state of Arizona with the fentanyl interdiction, with the emergency response, with rescue efforts, that sheriff's departments like yours are taking resources that can be put into use in their communities with other crimes, and they're working on this issue already, and this is going to add to that.
Well, 100%. Now you got to remember that Prop 314 has a few different provisions. One is the employer provision, mm-hmm. mandatory E-Verify. There's some criminal or some criminal investigations that could occur out of a failure to do that. Another provision of it is the mandatory minimum sentencing for selling fentanyl to somebody who ultimately dies, and it really reduces the burden of proof there, which is good because it was really difficult to prosecute people for that. Then the big one is the border trespass law, mm-hmm. which essentially says if you are in the country illegally and you entered at an illegal port of entry, and when you say illegal port of entry, think of like coming through a hole in the fence mm-hmm. or climbing over the wall or something like that. Doesn't mean if you entered, if you're in the country illegally, but you came through a legal port of entry. We're talking about trying to secure those areas between the port of entry, right? So local law enforcement can make an arrest for a violation of that law if it survives the Court of Appeals challenge. Well, local law enforcement doesn't have the resources to be out there currently even looking at or dealing with any of these issues. And so, but the citizens want us to. That's what they thought that they were voting for. That's what they were promised. And the sheriff said very pointedly at the when this was put on the ballot that this was unfunded at this moment, and if the voters passed it, we expected the legislature and the governor, the elected officials, to come forward and fund what the voters are putting forward. So we don't have the sheriffs that are down there, law enforcement along the border. They don't have the resources necessary to be effective at this at all. Now we're expecting some pretty big changes coming from the new federal administration. We don't know what they are. I don't want to speculate about it, but we want to be prepared to participate and help out. You know, you saw a lot of things are going this way right now. The Laken Riley Act, hopefully It's going to get through the Senate. I think people are seeing the common sense behind deporting some of these people that are in the country illegally. We want to be there ready to help.
Well, Sheriff, I always appreciate speaking with you, and you're an expert on the topic. Thanks for coming into the studio with us, and it's great to finally sit down face to face.
Absolutely, Mike.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back.